Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Catch, Hook, and Shoot. My name's Tom. I am your host. Today is Monday, March 25th. I am actually re-recording this week's episode. I want to apologize to everybody who tried to listen previous to this and got nothing but dead air. Giving this another try here. It's probably going to be an abbreviated episode. I will do my episode on the WWE Hall of Fame next week. So for this week, I'm just gonna kind of break down everything that's gone on the last week or so in pro wrestling. First and foremost, as usual, thanks to everybody for listening and subscribing on Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, and Twitch, and wherever else you find your podcasts. And thanks to everybody for following on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. Just search Catch, Hook, Shoot on any one of those and you'll be able to find me. And as usual, if you ever want to shoot me an email, it's catchhookshoot@gmail.com. I want to start off this week by sending thoughts out to Archie Cowboy Coughlin, my guest from last week. Archie had a stroke over the weekend, actually on Friday, and he is okay. I spoke to him yesterday. He is at home recovering. Really had no adverse effects. He was able to get medical attention right away, and so he is, like I said, he's at home. He's recovering. So Archie, get well soon, rest up, and hope you're feeling better. And thank you for giving me a call today and letting me know that the show did not post properly. So let's get into everything that's been going on this week here. First of all, with WWE, apparently WWE has signed DJZ to a contract. From what I saw online, it looks like the contract was actually signed in February, but DJZ is finishing up all of his independent dates, so I'm assuming he'll be starting with NXT as soon as all that is finished. AJ Styles re-signed a new contract with WWE, so it looks like he'll be staying on for the foreseeable future. Some interesting stuff coming out of Raw last week. Looks like Natalya and Beth Phoenix are challenging Bayley and Sasha Banks for the women's tag team titles at WrestleMania. Of course, Nia Jax and Tamina had something to say about that, so I wouldn't be surprised to see them added to that match as well. And then on SmackDown, Bayley and Sasha made their first appearance there since becoming women's tag team champions. Had a match against the Iconics, which the Iconics did win, so that I would think gives them a claim to that title match at WrestleMania as well. So I think that will probably end up being a fatal four-way, as I talked about before. Now, originally the thought was that it would be one team from Raw, one from SmackDown, and one from NXT, but it looks like it's going to be the Raw team and Nia and Tamina, the SmackDown team and the Iconics, and then Natalya and Beth Phoenix as well. So it should be a good match. I mean, those are all very, very good tag teams in my opinion. So that's definitely one I'm looking forward to. Kurt Angle also made the announcement on Raw for his WrestleMania opponent for his farewell match. It's a little, to quote JR, is a little underwhelming. That opponent looks like it's going to be Baron Corbin. I know there was a lot of backlash online about this. People were expecting, more of a marquee name, like a John Cena, I think, was the primary one that people were hoping for Angle's last match. Now, I take nothing away from Baron Corbin. I like Baron Corbin. He's improved by leaps and bounds since he first moved up to the main roster. But I don't know. I mean, Angle and Corbin have had so many matches on Raw, and so it just doesn't feel like that big special moment that Angle should have for his farewell match. Now, there was some speculation online that WWE could change that. Wouldn't be a surprise if they did change it, but it also wouldn't be a very big surprise if they just leave it as is. So we'll kind of have to wait and see, but I know, people not very happy about Angle and Corbin. Some more Raw news. Looks like Braun Strowman is the first entrant into the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Again, a little underwhelming. Strowman's been kind of, at the forefront for a while, but, was in the Universal title picture for quite a while, but has since really fallen off. Hasn't had any major storylines or anything like that, so him being in the Andre Battle Royal is just kind of maybe a little bit of a letdown. Last few weeks on Raw, we've been seeing some backstage vignettes, I guess, with Mojo Rawley kind of talking to himself in a mirror. Not sure exactly where this is going. They're obviously trying to build up some anticipation for his return to TV. He hasn't been on TV in quite a while, so we'll have to see where that goes. I would think more than likely we probably won't see his return until after WrestleMania, because I think it's too late to insert him into a storyline anywhere. So maybe you might see him in the Andre Battle Royal as well, but that's probably the extent of his WrestleMania involvement. I wouldn't expect to see him involved in any kind of storylines or anything like that until after WrestleMania. Also on Raw, we had Drew McIntyre coming out challenging Roman Reigns to a match at WrestleMania. Now, Roman was not at Raw last week to accept that challenge, but I'm sure we'll probably see that this week. On the SmackDown side, we've got Rey Mysterio announcing that he is challenging Samoa Joe for the U.S. title at WrestleMania. Again, not exactly what was expected. I think people were kind of expecting a multi-man match for that championship, but Rey versus Joe, I mean, any way you slice it, it's going to be a great match between these two. Some more rumors kind of floating around out there is that Hulk Hogan and Brutus the Barber Beefcake will somehow be involved in WrestleMania one way or another. Beefcake is one of the rumored inductees for the Hall of Fame this year, so I would assume Hogan would be the one inducting him. If that's the case, I don't know if that'll be the extent of their involvement in WrestleMania weekend or if we'll actually see them at WrestleMania. Another kind of wait and see thing. There's been no confirmation on any of that, so it's just rumor at this point. Also on SmackDown, we saw Kofi Kingston win his gauntlet match to earn his championship match at WrestleMania against Daniel Bryan, but then of course Vince McMahon came out and threw another roadblock in front of him, told him that he had to defeat Daniel Bryan if he wanted that title match. So of course Kofi had already fought 5 men. Daniel Bryan came down and beat him fairly quickly, so the story now is that Kofi was basically screwed out of his WrestleMania spot, and then we saw the other New Day members, Xavier Woods and Big E, posting on social media, basically making it sound like they're contemplating leaving the WWE, and I think it it advances the storyline. It makes Kofi more that sympathetic babyface with McMahon throwing all the roadblocks in front of him, and their WWE that is kind of skirting around the issue of that it's kind of racially motivated without directly saying it. Like Kofi and Big E have made some comments of someone like me or people like us, without actually overtly stating that Vince is a racist or anything like that. And it's kind of playing off the fact that there has really never been a black WWE champion. I mean, yes, there was The Rock, but that's pretty much it. You've had black world heavyweight champions in people like Mark Henry, of course Ron Simmons in WCW. But as far as the WWE Championship, which has always been the top title, the only one to speak of is The Rock. So, they're really kind of playing on that angle without directly saying it, like I said. Going back over to Raw for a minute, we had Ronda Rousey in a match against Dana Brooke, basically, a minute-long squash match. And the real story on this was after the fact of basically Ronda attacking the security that had been assigned to try to keep her under control, and then of course Travis Brown getting involved, knocking out one of the security guards, and is supposedly quote-unquote banned now from Raw. So it's just kind of building Ronda up as more of that monster heel type character. And I'm really liking Ronda Rousey as a heel. It just seems much more natural for her. So, I'm liking the direction that this is going. WWE did make it official today that the Raw Women's Championship will be the main event of WrestleMania this year. And that is, that's huge. It's the first time women have ever main evented WrestleMania. And with the 3 women in this match, Ronda, Becky, and Charlotte, they couldn't have 3 better women to be in that main event. And speaking of WrestleMania, it was what has not been officially confirmed by WWE, but the rumor online this week has been that there will be no men's tag team championship matches on the WrestleMania card. Basically, the way that it was laid out online is this is WWE's attempt to kind of control the length of the show and the number of matches on the card. And so these two are just kind of getting left off, so to speak, which it kind of speaks to, how important those championships are in the WWE. I mean, the rumor floating around was that the SmackDown titles were supposed to be defended by the Usos against the Hardy Boys, which I think would have been a great match, but there really has been no kind of storyline surrounding the Raw Tag Team titles, nothing of any real significance anyway for the last few weeks, which, it just seems like tag team wrestling is not a priority for WWE, and it hasn't been for quite a while. With the exception of the women's tag team titles, which have been getting more of the spotlight lately, which is a great thing, don't get me wrong. But, it's just tag team wrestling, at least in the men's division, is kind of an afterthought at this point. Also announced by WWE this week, Sue Aitchison will be the recipient of the Warrior Award. For those that don't know who Sue Aitchison is, which I didn't know when the announcement first came out, she is an office employee with the WWE, and she's the one that facilitates a lot of their charity events that they work with, like Make-A-Wish and things like that. She's been with the company for about 30 years and just has received such high praise from pretty much anybody and everybody you could think of within the WWE. So definitely sounds like she is a deserving recipient of that award. On the NXT side, Tommaso Ciampa had to give up the NXT Championship this week, as announced by Triple H on NXT. So for the vacant NXT Championship at TakeOver New York, it will be Johnny Gargano versus Adam Cole in a 2 out of 3 falls match. That one, I mean, that is probably the match to me that will steal the weekend. I'm sure these two are going to put on a fantastic match, and it would not surprise me at all to see that match go an hour or close to it at least. Also announced on NXT UK for NXT TakeOver New York is a NXT UK Championship match between Pete Dunne and Walter. Again, should be a fantastic match with these two. Also, some other announcements made this week. Both of the Bellas are officially retired from WWE. Brie Bella had actually announced her retirement a couple weeks ago, and then Nikki Bella announced hers just today or yesterday, I believe. So, yeah, don't be surprised if you see the Bellas going into the Hall of Fame probably next year at WrestleMania. Another retirement, this one from the NFL, is Rob Gronkowski from the has announced his retirement. Now, he has been involved with WWE before. He's a good friend of Mojo Rawley. Has gotten involved at WrestleMania in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal the year that Mojo won it. And he is only 29 years old, so don't be surprised if you see him pop up in a WWE ring sometime in the near future. Some matches going on this week. We've got Kurt Angle versus Samoa Joe on Raw, and Kurt Angle versus AJ Styles on SmackDown as part of his farewell tour. Yeah, either one of these matches could have been on the WrestleMania card, but as I said before, they went with Angle and Corbin, so it is what it is. And then also announced just today is the Hart Foundation. Bret Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart will be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Wasn't any mention of Jimmy Hart going in as part of that, just the just the two actual wrestlers from the team, Hart and Neidhart. And this, of course, is the original Hart Foundation, not the version that included the British Bulldog or Owen Hart or Brian Pillman. So, definitely, I mean, Bret Hart's already in as an individual, so he will be another two-time Hall of Famer, joining Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels, and Booker T as a two-time Hall of Famer. Moving over to New Japan, Kazuchika Okada won the New Japan Cup, and he will be the one facing Jay White at the G1 Supercard in Madison Square Garden WrestleMania weekend. In Impact, we saw the debut of Madman Fulton as a member of OVE this week. Now, he was known as Sawyer Fulton in NXT. He was an original member of the Sanity Group with Eric Young. So, for those of you that missed it, he came in after a match between Sami Callihan and Rich Swann and made a huge impact, beat down Rich Swann and Willie Mack. So, Impact is doing some good stuff right now. They have their Against All Odds event this week on their show on Friday. And the main, what I would think would be the main event is the for the Knockouts Championship, Jordan Grace versus Taya. I'm definitely looking forward to this one. I'm hoping, me personally, I'm looking for Jordan Grace to win, but I don't think they're going to take the championship off of Taya just yet. She hasn't had it for all that long. Some more Impact news. Eli Drake's Impact contract is up apparently in May, so I'll have to see where he lands. Could be, wouldn't be surprised to see him in NXT. There's also, of course, AEW, New Japan, Ring of Honor, so he's got a lot of options out there, and I'm sure he's going to be one that's pretty heavily sought after. Also in Impact, Ohio Valley Wrestling is now once again their developmental territory for Impact. The announcement was made last week by Al Snow, so yeah, definitely a good relationship there. With the new direction, the new management, and everything with Impact, and Al Snow is now the owner of OVW. So yeah, I would definitely look for some good things coming out of that partnership. And finally, some AEW news. It was announced that they have signed Allie to a contract, which is awesome. Their women's division is definitely, building up into something really, really good here. And some interesting stuff having to do with AEW. It looks like Cody Rhodes and Conrad Thompson have filed for some trademarks. And those are Four Horsemen, Dusty Rhodes, American Dream, American Nightmare, Bash at the Beach, Battle Bowl, and Bunkhouse Stampede. Now, of course, those last few are, old WCW pay-per-views, so we could be seeing some of those make a comeback under the AEW banner. And also, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks basically not made an official announcement, but pretty much stated at the C2E2 convention here in Chicago this past weekend that All In 2 will be taking place in Chicago this coming September. Also posted a picture of the three of them later on in the weekend at the United Center here in Chicago. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be the venue for All In 2, but it, I wouldn't say it's out of the question. I mean, it's definitely a larger venue than the Sears Center. I want to say the United Center holds about 25,000 people, give or take. So, at least double the capacity of what All In was. So it would definitely be an ambitious move if they tried to hold it at the United Center. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, it's an abbreviated episode this week. Very sorry for everybody who tried to listen previously and just got, like I said, dead air. Thanks again to Archie Cowboy Coughlin for letting me know that there was a problem. And again, Archie, hope you're resting up and feeling better at home, recovering. But thanks again to everybody for listening and subscribing on Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, Twitch, and wherever you get your podcasts from. And thanks for following on social media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, at CatchHookShoot on any one of those. And as always, the email address is catchhookshoot@gmail.com. If you ever want to send me your questions, comments, suggestions, anything under the sun, I welcome it all. So that's pretty much it for this week. I will cover the Hall of Fame show that I was supposed to put out this week. Will be next week. So hope everybody has a good week. Hope everybody enjoys Raw and SmackDown tonight and tomorrow. And I will talk to you guys soon.